Hey, what's good, people? As we all know, end of the season. Sorry about roughness. I haven't been to the barber in a while. And man, let's talk about something. Let's talk about that. We're gonna talk about main points. End of the season. That free agency and draft. End of the season sucked, man. You know. Um, Me as a fan, I'm not one of those. The sky is falling. The world is ending. This player sucks, this coach sucks, get rid of this guy, trade this guy. I'm not about doing all that. I want to see what can we do to improve the players we got. Is there a way we can improve them? Can we add something to them? I.e. Dak, i.e. Diggs, Parsons. And I'm not saying those players aren't good or great. I'm just naming a few. How can we get them to perform at a higher level? Can we get them to perform at a higher level? The leadership in me, the leadership I got from what most people don't know about me is been in the military. And that, yeah, Dak's been in the league for 7 years, but he still has so much more room to grow. I've been in the military for 7 years. Even after 10 years, I still had room to grow. I still had room to develop. What I needed was the proper leadership to help get me there. I've had soldiers who had been in the military for X amount of years, and they felt like they were stuck. But what they needed is the right person to show them this, teach them that, and to get them over that hump, to develop, help them develop this. Sometimes, people say, well, that person can't be a good leader. Some people aren't born to be a leader. Some people, they got to grow into it. That, I think Dak's a naturally born leader. Dak's a naturally good player. I think he's a damn good quarterback. I think has he developed into a elite, and can he ever develop into elite status to a Mahomes, to a Brady, to a Rodgers? Will he ever be a Burrow? No. Will he ever have the arm talent of a Allen? No. That's not his game. So that's not Brady's game. What did Brady's coaches do? What did they put people around him, and they developed a system around him to help him be successful. They told him, here's what we need you to do. Here's what we expect you to do. Here's what we don't want you to do. It's I'm not gonna go there because some people probably never watch me again, so I'll leave that point alone. But I'll say in artillery, we have our guns that shoot farther than other guns. So the guns that don't shoot as far, we don't ask them guns to do that. We put those guns in position to where they can reach the target that we're asking them to hit. And I hope that makes sense. But that's in anything in life. if you have kids, you got kids who are good at different things. You have people that are good at different things. And what you do is you put those people to succeed in what they're good at. You don't ask them to be this person. And to be mad at them because they're not this person, to say, well, Dak's not Allen, he's not Burrow, he's not Mahomes, he doesn't have the arm talent of those guys. And so what? So why put him in the circumstances to where you want him to perform at those guys? That is idiotic and stupid. And you as a leader, as a coach, has failed that man to tell him, this is what I need you to do. That's like asking a person, let's go to lifting weights, because a lot of people know a little bit about lifting weights. That's like asking a guy who can barely bench the bar, who's never lifted weights. That's like asking a guy who's never lifted weights to go in there and bench 345 and go in there and ask a guy who's never lifted and never been able to lift a lot to go in there and work out and bench with a guy who is naturally born strong. It makes no sense. It is stupid. And to say, well, I don't want that person around me because he can't bench the same amount as this person. Okay, but what other attributes does he have? What other things can he do to help the team around you, the people around you, to be successful? You can't have everyone who fits this exact mold. You can't. And that's where I am with Dak. Dak's a good player, damn near great. Dak has the abilities he can to help this team win. The problem is when people expect him to be something he's not. And therefore, when he forces himself to be something he's not, that's not right. Excuse me. That makes no sense to me. You got to put people in a position to succeed. And with that, I like Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore's done pretty good. I think he has his flaws, but most importantly, I think Kellen Moore him and Dak have outgrown themselves. And I'm getting this from Vox and Sky. I think they've outgrown each other. I think Kellen Moore has reached a peak with Dak. And I think Dak has reached a peak with Kellen Moore. Because I think they're too comfortable with each other. I think that they've both made each other comfortable in what they do. And I think Dak has bailed Kellen Moore out of things, his shortcomings. And I think Kellen Moore has also bailed Dak out of his shortcomings with some of his play calling. But I also think Kellen Moore has failed Dak in some of his play calling. And I think Dak is limited. Dak can be limiting. No, Dak has probably limited Kellen Moore in some of the things he wants to call and do. Both can be true. Both have limited each other to a certain extent. So therefore, they need to separate. It's not saying that neither one of them are good or can be great, but they both need to go their separate ways. And it's easier to get rid of Kellen Moore than it is to get rid of Dak. That's just common sense. whether you believe in the draft, not draft, but cap space or whatever, it makes more sense and it is more feasible to get rid of Kellen Moore than it is to get rid of Dak. It's that easy. It's that simple. That's not a hard concept. Well, it shouldn't be. All right. After that, okay, let's talk about free agency. We got a few guys. We got more than a few. We got a lot of guys that are going to be free agents. 3 people I think we should be, or 4 people I think should be priority are Terry Steele is a restricted free agent, so we really don't have to go about that. But to me, I think the Cowboys should go ahead and sign him and bring him on long term. Give him a 3-4 year deal. Next is Big Bang Hankins. Sign him to a 2-year deal. LVE, put him on a 2-year deal. And last but not least, motherfucking Wilson. I'm sorry for cussing. I'm actually surprised I last this long without cussing. Normally 11 minutes and some. I've said like 50 cuss words by now, but trying to do better. But I think Wilson is a guy you got to bring on a 3-year deal. I don't know money. I'm not going to go into these people's money and all that. Next is draft. I think that one thing, I love Zeke. Big fan of Zeke. But even when Zeke was drafted in 2016, I thought it was a mistake. Not that I didn't think Zeke would be a good player, but I didn't think they were using him right for him to be productive on a long period of time. And well, here we are going into the 2023 season, and well, Zeke is a shell of himself. I'm not going to say whether we should keep him, shouldn't keep him. I'm in between. Part of me wants to keep him because I like being loyal to players. Part of me says, hey, let that man move on, see if he can go somewhere else, and maybe they can rejuvenate his career, get him back on track, limit him to where he is used properly throughout the entire year and he is more productive. But the draft, I'm not about drafting a running back. And saying that about Zeke, I'm not about drafting a running back in the first round. Simply because we saw what happened with Zeke. And everybody wants to say, well, what about Emmitt Smith? That was a different era. That was a different time. Players were different. Our own line was a lot different then. Our line was a lot different in 2016, 17, 18. But since then, they haven't been the same. Therefore, Zeke hasn't been the same. And in saying that, I think going off what I listen to a lot of Watch and Skywalker still. And in saying that, you look at the 49ers with their offensive line. You look at I'm not going to mention the green team. I refuse to mention them. I'm not mentioning them. I'm not. I refuse because I can't stand them cats. But you look at them with their O-line. You look at the Chiefs with their O-line. The Cowboys are at their best when they have a outstanding O-line. When they have a top 5 O-line. And they haven't had a top 5 O-line in years. Since, 2018, 2019? you can't, I don't want to hear 2020, 21, and 22 was outstanding O-line, a top 5 O-line, because there wasn't. If you say that, then you're lying to yourself. If you say, well, Dak wasn't sacked that much, well, they had the pass rush win rate was at number 32. That's the worst in the freaking league. The worst. That's the worst in the league. And therefore, what happens with that is your quarterback is jittery. Your quarterback is anxious. Your quarterback doesn't trust himself. He doesn't trust his O-line. He doesn't trust his receivers. Therefore, he's just throwing the ball without thinking, because he doesn't trust what's coming next to him. And when you trust maybe your receivers more than you trust your O-line, therefore you make throws that you probably shouldn't have thrown. Still at the quarterback's fault. I'm not giving that man an excuse. But for anyone who watches this, or when I share it, they're like, oh, you're making excuses for Dak. You're a Dak apologist. Whatever, man. You do what you do. Like I said, I'm a Dak fan. I'm always ride and die with Dak, even when he's off this team, because I love that man's story. I like Jalen Hurts, even though he is that team that I won't talk about quarterback. I like him. I'm a fan of him. I love football. That is who I am. I'm going to support another person until the wheels fall off, until they give me a reason not to support them no more. In the draft, I think we need to O-line, receiver, a big man in the middle on our defensive line. I think we got enough pass rushers. I think you still add more pass rushers to our defense, but you got to add another corner. Kevin Joseph's my dude. I'm always rock with him. Y'all see why I wear a hat, because the hairline stuff, but but I'm a rock with Kevin Joseph. If I wish I could sit down and talk to that young man, because he has it all. I just don't think he has the right person in his ear. And me, being a former soldier, being especially a former artillery soldier, sometimes people need tough love. Yeah. Hey, I'm a short dude, but hey, tough love, hey. Sometimes, hey, it works wonders sometimes, man. You break, sometimes people need that foot broke off up in them. And then you just gotta break your foot off up in them, and then you gotta mold them back. It's like working out. Sometimes you gotta break them down and then build them back up, mold them back up. And I think that's what Kelvin Joseph needs. I thought that's what Taco needed. Well, not Taco. I'm not gonna talk about Taco, because I think he is beyond reachable. But I think that's what Trysten Hill needed. And you saw Trysten Hill come along. I think the injury hurt Trysten Hill, and then you saw him come back. But I think the numbers game put him out. But I think Kelvin Joseph, I think if you have someone just sit down and talk to that man, and as a big uncle, a I'm not going to say a father figure because I don't know that man's lifestyle. So I don't want to say a father figure, but as an uncle, as just someone who isn't trying to get him to do better so they can dig into his pockets, but they want him to do better because they want him to be a better individual, a better man. And some of y'all gonna be like, oh no, we don't want to hear that. Yeah. I've had soldiers, man, who that's all they needed was somebody to show them that they cared about them, that somebody loved them. And partially, I was one of those dudes, man. I'm not gonna lie, I was a knucklehead growing up. I'm not gonna give you my life story, but hey, man, I was a dude who I quit. One of my years in junior high, I quit running track because I got tired of running. I got tired of running track and running from the police on the weekend. So I stopped running track my freshman year in high school. Because I was like, well, And some of y'all be like, well, that was high school. He's 20-some years old. I've been making mistakes in my 20s, 30s, 40s. I know people who are in their 60s still making mistakes. You just got to grow. And I think sometimes you just need someone to grab you by the neck and just teach you and show you. He needs someone to just sit him in a room and I put hands on him, but sit him in a room and say, we're not leaving this room until you look at this film and see where you messed up at, and you tell me you want to be better. You want to do better. And if not, then you gotta go. Then everything that happens to you from here on out is on you. You can't blame nobody. You can't say, well, it's because I'm from here, I'm from there. This is all on you. You failed because you wanted to. And I don't think anyone's sat him down and told him that yet. But hey, man, I'm going to get off here. Like I said, man, I got faith in Dak. Our free agents we got, I said I think we should bring back. I'm not going to get on who we should bring in because, well, we know who our ownership is. So, and in the draft, I'm not, like I said, man, I'm not drafting a running back in the first round. I'm not. So, I'm going after O-line, receivers, DBs, hopefully a big, massive nose tackle, and maybe even a pass rusher or a linebacker. But I'll do anything but running back. I'm not doing running back in the first round. If the best thing on your board is a running back, trade back. I'm trading down. I'm doing Kevin Kavanaugh, and I'm doing captain trade down method, and I'm bouncing out those picks and grabbing another one, and maybe moving up in a later round. But hey, man, I appreciate y'all. If you listen to this whole thing, I appreciate it. Y'all take it easy. 1.